Welcome to this response. We entitled these recordings Responses. When it's not a full podcast, we just want to address one subject, and we're going to address the subject of religion. First of all, let me introduce us for those of you that haven't been with us very much. I'm Uncle Rex. That's Tylee and JJ's great uncle. We like referring to how we related to Tylee and JJ. Of course, that means we're related to Lori Vallow. I'm her uncle. With me is Adam. He's Tylee and JJ's uncle and Lori Vallow's brother. And we've done about 12 podcasts, I believe, 12 or 13. We've done a few of these responses. We've done 2 lives now, and we're going to be doing more lives, hopefully every week. So we love the interaction we're having with you. Of course, here we get to talk, but we love reading your comments, having comments on the comments. We love the lives because we respond to comments. So as usual, we'll be reading your responses to this response or your comments to this response. So let's talk about it a little. Adam and I have a little bit different approach of how we're going to address this topic of religion. Adam, you take it away first.
Well, first, I do want to say I want to thank everybody who is new to our podcast that have made comments that they found us and they didn't realize, what our podcast was. We had started this podcast in honor of Tylee and JJ and talking about us and our family and feelings and things that happened and answered a bunch of people's questions. And as we went through our podcast, Rex said, we're just going to do 10 because we're writing a book. And we wanted to just do 10 podcasts. So if you're brand new, we've expanded now. We're done with 10, and now we're doing more podcasting. And we are talking about Lori's case, and we're talking about my family, but we're also talking about other things. And apparently a lot of you have a lot of comments about things that happened to your family. And we address that in the lives. Some of you have gone through a ton of stuff. And I think for me, and I've told you this, it's therapy for me. It's therapy for Rex to talk about it. Other people in our family don't want to talk about it. They want everything to go away. And that's how they want to deal with it. And that's fine. And I said, everybody has to respect everybody, how you want to go forward and how you heal. So that's where we're at with this podcast. So over the last 12 or 13 or 14 podcasts that we've done, we have read lots of comments. And some of the comments, it has been an occurring theme sometimes, is that people want to know about our religion. Does your church approve of your podcast? Are your guests LDS? We have a lot of comments. I'm atheist. I don't believe in God, so I just want to hear more about this. So everybody has a different background on religion and how they go about their religion. You believe in God, or you believe in God and Jesus, or you don't believe in anything. And everybody has their own thing. And I'm not judging anybody for anything. I think everybody has the right to feel and how they want to do. But I think some of the problems I'm having with some of these comments is that, if we have a guest on that's incredible, and gives us all kinds of insight to, our personality or to just general life questions and things that we all are interested to know about our personalities and things. The question is he LDS? Does he believe in Joseph Smith? To me, it's just those kind of things don't matter. It doesn't matter what religion somebody is. So those kind of things, I get a little irritated. I'm not going to lie. I'm irritated at those kinds of comments. Or are you guys, still going to the church? Or, the name of your podcast should be Mormon something this or whatever. So when it comes to religion, I think everybody has the right to decide if they even want religion in their life. If they do, what religion do you feel most comfortable with? And we're not here trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to convert anybody to my church. I just want everybody to be able to listen to a conversation and learn something from whatever the conversation is without having to say, well, what religion are you? Because depending on what religion you are, I'm going to form an opinion of what you just said. And I just don't think there's any room for that kind of thinking, at least in my view of the comments that we've got. I don't know if I said that right, but that's what I'm going to go with, Rex.
And I'm gonna piggyback on yours a second before I go with mine, because a couple of those comments that you're talking about reminded me about Pappy. Now, Adam's heard a lot of stories about Pappy, didn't know him very well. Pappy is my step-grandfather, passed before Adam got to know him very well, but I knew him pretty well for a lot of my life until I was probably around 30 when he passed away. So Adam's met him, he knows of him. But Pappy, we all love Pappy. We love Pappy's barbecue more than anything. Loved visiting. Pappy lived in the South, as a product of the South. Pappy, I say we all love Pappy, but it's a big but. Pappy was the most prejudiced person I've ever known. Meaning, if a person's skin was black, they were wrong. In other words, that was just pure prejudice. And I got to see it up close and personal, but just talking to him, etc. And that's just, it's abhorrent. I love Pappy, but that part of it was abhorrent. Okay, just to say, because of this, a person is wrong. Some of the comments we've seen were very similar to that. They're saying, what religion is this person? With the connotation, I'm not going to listen to them if they're this religion because of their religion. I don't see a big difference between the two. Maybe you do, and I'm not going to tell you how to think, but that just, I think, complements what you're saying, doesn't it, Adam?
Yeah, I think the thing is like, if you hear somebody and he's got great things to say and you're learning something from him, but then you find out, oh, well, he's Jewish or he's Mormon or he's Catholic or whatever it is that you don't approve of or you don't believe in, then you judge him without even really listening to what he has to say. And those are the things that I just get irritated at, because I like to be a sponge. I like to learn from all walks of life, all colors, all religions. If it sounds good and it makes sense to me, it's common sense, I'm all for it. And I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are. I'm for that. And you and I have talked about common sense and things that we can learn and grow from other people. So that's just kind of the message as we go forward, that I hope that we can, steer in the right direction.
Okay. Thanks for that. I have a little bit different take on this. And what I want to say about the topic is, I want to explain why we haven't addressed religion and why we don't engage in your comments about religious things. Now, for purposes of my explanation here, I'm going to draw a distinction that doesn't really exist in our language, but just for this discussion, one-way discussion, I'm going to say there's a difference between religion and a church. And the way I'm going to distinguish between the two, the church is the construct. That's what we build up. It's what men build up, even if men or women, even if they're inspired by God, they build up a church to say, and each church worships the way they want to. And I am all for churches. I believe in the freedom of religion and let people worship whatever, whenever, however they want to, as long as it doesn't impinge on other people's lives, meaning the injury, killing them. And yes, I know the history of each major religion as far as killing massive numbers of people. That's not what we're talking about. For this discussion, a church is the organization meant to gather people together of like minds to worship. Religion, I'm going to define as, my religion is my relationship to God. Your religion is your relationship to whatever power you feel caused you to show up on this earth and provides whatever non-sensory part of this life there is. So I'm making allowance with that for everyone. Someone that doesn't believe in God just says, hey, nature brought us to this point, evolution brought us to this point. Then religion is your relationship with that evolution and how you decide life works because of that. And on that basis, it's easy for me. I hope it's easy for everyone to honor everyone's different religion, their relationship with whatever power they feel there is. Now, the reason that I don't engage in our topics, in the comments, I don't engage in people commenting on religion, and I know you aren't defining religion and church this way. I get that, but I'm using this to explain, is because I know absolutely nothing about your religion, about your relationship with God. And I believe, you don't have to, I believe that religion is about your relationship with God. I do not know, and I will probably never know anything about your relationship to God. I don't think you know much about mine. Now, if I know what church you belong to, and I've studied that church, and I know something about the teachings of that church, I still know nothing about your relationship with God. I may know of some teachings that you've heard in your life, but that doesn't tell me about your relationship with God, even just like whatever the church I go to teaches doesn't tell you about my relationship with God. So since I draw that distinction and I can't know anything about your religion, I don't expect you to even be interested in what my religion is. The role the church plays in our discussions is how is Lori, how is Chad, how is Alex influenced by what they were taught? That is a valid question because we all know the influences went into making their decisions. None of the influences made their decisions for them. Their influence isn't responsible for their decisions, whether that influence was their church or their family upbringing or their community they belong to, or whatever it is. We have said many times, we feel that regardless of their outside influences, nothing absolves any of the co-conspirators, we talk mostly about Lori, but any of them, from the evil decisions they made to perpetrate evil, to commit murder, and all the other evil associated with it. So if someone asks a question like, does the Church of Jesus Christ teach this? We may answer it, but we don't feel like we are spokespeople for the church. So we're hesitant even to do that because the church hasn't asked us to be their spokespeople. They have very capable spokespeople.
And the other thing too is like people are like, well, what does the church think about your podcast? I don't think the head of the church even knows about our podcast because we don't talk about religion. I mean, this is not a religious podcast at all. Unfortunately, Lori and Chad and Alex, were in the LDS church. So because of that, I see a lot of you are like, oh, well, that was caused because of the church and it's a cult and all this stuff. What Lori and Alex and Chad did has nothing to do with the religion of the church. It's, they're all that they came up with themselves. The first commandment is, or one of the commandments is that thou shalt not kill. Well, what did they do? They killed. So obviously right off the bat, they did not go with the LDS churches and keep the commandments. So I hate that when people be like, well, yes, they were LDS. And so that church is what caused them to think like this or brainwash or something like that. And it's just not true.
Yeah, I don't know of any church that would you could draw an inference to support what they did. So clearly not a church cause or issue.
or the other thing too, Rex, is I started thinking about, and we talked about this on a podcast before, and people had mentioned, well, you should have on, some of these other killers that have killed people, their family members on. And so I started thinking about, well, what religion were some of the other killers, people who have murdered somebody? How many murderers have there been since the beginning of the world? And what religions were they? And because of what religions were they, did you judge them from their religion? And so that's where it's coming from. And I'm just like, look, evil is evil. Evil doesn't come from church or religion. It comes from people making their own decisions. So I don't know, when you start thinking about that, when you start thinking of mass murderers or somebody who was in, something like this, you don't say, oh, well, they were Catholic, or they were this, or they were that. So that must have been the reason that they killed somebody. That's just ludicrous to me.
So this is why we don't engage about religion in the podcast. We all have different views on it, but basically, and we aren't telling you what to think. We aren't telling you what to say to us, what to comment to us. We aren't telling you any of that. We are just saying that's why we don't engage in the subject. We don't feel like it's a primary part of this. Yes, it's an influence, and sometimes we'll answer questions in that context of what was the influence on them, but probably not even that, because it opens up the whole religious can of worms, and that's not what our purpose is here. So chances are we'll continue not engaging in that. And while we're on that subject, just one other one that
just keep them coming. I'm okay with it.
May not seem related to you. Let me. Okay, back to it. I paused there to remember the comment.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple comments, and I'm not sure where the people got this, but a couple listeners have said, well, Alex and Rex said that, I'm sorry, I did it again. Adam and Rex said that you can ask anything or we'll answer anything. If we ever said that, we were high when we said that. And since neither of us does drugs, we don't think we were high, but
No.
we said we were wrong. You can ask whatever you want. We will not answer whatever, for a couple obvious reasons. One, we often don't know the answer. And before, we rely on y'all for a lot of detailed work that we just don't know. Also, we have a filter, and there are family members that do not want their name now even mentioned on our podcast. We're going to honor that because they're family members, and that's what they want, and they're doing their healing, and we value the relationship with them. And also, we don't answer some things because they aren't asked in a way that we feel there's a benefit to answering them. And we'll continue doing that. So if you think we said that, and if you're right, then we were wrong. But
and who knows, at the beginning, maybe out of the blue, I said, okay, you can ask us anything and we'll say something, answer anything. I may have said that. I don't know, but I'm usually the guilty party. But
that was high if he did.
I don't get high, so I definitely wasn't high. But I also feel like with these comments, a lot of times there's people that ask the same question on 10 different podcasts that we've answered on 3 or 4 different podcasts. So we're just not going to answer those again because we've already answered the exact specific thing that you asked. So there's some of that. So, but we are trying to accommodate and answer as many comments as we can. The next time we do a live next week, if you really want a question, to make sure you get on live and you can ask whatever you want. I don't know. And like you said, you can ask whatever you want. I'm not sure that we're going to have the answer or give you the answer that you're looking for. But, we'll try.
Yeah, but we're going to use our discretion in what we answer and what, questions we engage. We only have so much time, energy, resources to do it. And we will do the best we can. We do love reading your comments. A lot of that's because so many of the overwhelming majority of them are so positive and kind and loving. Who doesn't love that? Thank you for that. But the ones that aren't, that are true inquiries, we love diversity of thought. And I shouted her out during the live. Jean Marie, to me, is the master of disagreeing, or not even disagreeing, just pointing out a different perspective. She doesn't even start with "I disagree." She just gives a different perspective. So there are other people like that. We very much welcome a different perspective. The mean-spirited ones we often ignore because we don't want to engage. We don't have any energy to engage in battling someone.
And by the way, thank you. And by the way, thanks to all the commenters that engage in our behalf of protecting us. So I do like that. If you see a nasty comment and we don't engage, some of you have come to our rescue and like, well, they've already answered that, and then you guys have the argument that goes along with that. So thank you for that. And again, once again, this response was about, just our perspective on religion, because it keeps coming up in comments. And again, you heard both of our sides of how we think and what we feel. So if you do make comments about religion, you'll understand if you don't get a response to it,
or where we're coming from with it, if whether or not we respond. So please don't take this as we told you what to say or what not to say, or what to think or what to believe, anything like that. We want you to know where we're coming from, because we value the interaction with you, especially now that we're doing lives and we just can't get all the great comments, address all the great answers that we get through the comments and the lives. We will do the best we can with that because we love it. We value it highly. We love you. We appreciate it. All the energy, even if it's passionate and not always positive, we still appreciate the energy. Last word, and you get the last word.
The last word is we'll see you next week with more podcasting and more lives. Thank you for joining us. And Silver Linings is the name of our new podcast.